Anyway, let's move on to the next thing, which is the Champions League final. So this is a bit of hit and miss,
Yes.
and maybe we won't talk about football every single time, but me and Rob have a bit of a rivalry from time to time. Even though we're the bestest of friends, he sees my shirt and he wants to kill me.
He comes in here with his Spurs shirt made out of the tattered ribbons of the second place trophy they win every single season.
Or the collective.
Whereas we actually win stuff.
And then the next day, just wake up with a hangover.
I can't talk. I'm an Arsenal fan basically, and our league form doesn't really hold a candle to how well we do in domestic competitions. But that's neither here nor there. We're here to talk about a competition that we both aren't even in.
Yeah. But it's got
to get that sweet Europa League money next year.
But it's got one for me. It's got one team that has been very hit and miss. Like they won sort of by the skin of their teeth in one game in the quarterfinals? Yeah, the quarterfinals. And then another team that has absolutely decimated everyone. They started with Tottenham, who they beat 7-2, crying inside. And that led to that was one of the driving factors behind Poch getting sacked. And then...
which he shouldn't have done, by the way.
Yeah.
I can't believe he did that.
I think only time will tell, because
he was going to lead you to glory. Like, he's the man who got you to a Champions League final. Spurs to a Champions League final.
Yeah. I think at the moment it's just to see what happens with Mourinho. Mourinho is a very convincing guy, so I think in terms of transfers, he's very good at that. He can land some good transfers as long as they're not.
I saw yesterday that he said that Højbjerg and Joe Hart are like the signings of the season or something. He said something along those lines.
Well, I looked at the highlights yesterday.
I'm very on the fence about that statement. I mean, I don't like Mourinho as a person or a manager anyway, but I'm trying to let personal bias go to one side.
Yeah, I think in terms of Højbjerg, I saw his performance yesterday, and from what I've seen, he's a great leader, and whenever he sees an opportunity to strike, he will just do it. Like that, and that's what we need. We need that lightning quick performance from Spurs, and that's been what we've missing. When we don't know where we are, we really freeze up, and then we don't keep possession. We don't make effective counterattacks, and then we don't score because there's not enough build up to pass to Kane or Son, whoever's up front. So I think this season's the one where we just need to connect all those dots, and I think Højbjerg is a great start to that. We also played Jedson Fernandez on right wing back, which was different, but he really held the position well. So if Aurier goes, then damn, I think he'd be a good replacement if we don't get a right back.
I'm not sure if we should go too far off the subject of Champions League final.
I was just going to say,
because I'll be here all day talking about Arsenal and our woes and whatever, but we'll save that for another time. But yeah,
I mean, we've got 10 minutes to talk about this, so there's
exactly plenty. Champions League final, PSG versus Bayern Munich, basically. Bayern have had a relatively comfortable route to the final, despite the fact one of their opponents was Barcelona. They absolutely annihilated them, and it was hilarious because I was actually in a bar, which is hard to believe, really, in these times of lockdown.
I thought you said you were in the bath while you were watching it.
I was in the bath whilst watching it. Yeah, it's very difficult not to get an electric shock, but there you go. No, I was in a bar, and alongside me, sitting right. We're trying to implement social distancing regulations and that, but that's another topic that I'm not going to go into that much. I'm sitting next to a Barcelona fan, and just watching his face turn more purple as one by one these goals went in. It was just a picture, but it's just a testament to how ridiculous a team. But I always liked Bayern's football. Lewandowski, Gnabry, Iron Robin, Wesley Schneider back in the day, Serge Gnabry, why did we let him go? I mean, the guy is an absolute genius.
I just can't imagine the look on the guy's face when Liverpool beat Barcelona last year. After Barcelona annihilated them in the first leg, and then the second leg, Liverpool just really got one up on them, and at home, of all places. So, they had no chance of getting away goals, but then they got that last goal, and you're like, oh, wow, here we go.
It's going to be very odd having a Champions League final with no fans in attendance.
Yeah,
I'm just wondering if they should do what WWE are going to do for SummerSlam tomorrow evening, which is have all these screens of people.
I think the problem with that is there's way more seats. Like they're doing that in the performance center, so you can fit. I think they can have the budget for that, but having the budget for like thousands of screens, I don't know. I think
also there's way more chance of things untoward being put up on these screens by fans. There was a BT Sport thing, which I think it was during a Wolves versus Newcastle game or something back when the Premier League was recovering post lockdown. And there was a games.
Yeah.
Some guy just held up a sign at half time that said Robbie Savage is a blank.
Gary Lineker shags Chris as well. Or...
Yeah, I know, like things like that. I love English sports fans. It's just so much fun.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think, from what I've heard and from what I've read, Barcelona are just in absolute shambles. They've just got Ronald Koeman, is it, as their new manager? And
ex-Everton manager, who didn't even do that great versus Everton, but he was a Barcelona player for several years, won loads of stuff with them.
Yeah, so essentially he's obviously come in and he wants things done his way, and some players are gonna possibly get left out of the squad now because of that, such as I think the names I've heard, Luis Suarez, who has I think he's been vocal about that, and I think that people are urging him to go back to the Premier League, just as long as he bites a tree instead. And then you've got Jordi Alba. I think Jordi Alba when he's good, he's great, but there's times
sounds like you're saying Jordi Albert, some sort of big Geordie lad from up north who Barcelona are just.
Hey mate, give me the ball. I can't do a Geordie accent to save my life.
I've never heard a Welshman attempt a Newcastle accent. That's
mate,
a first.
Give me the ball. It's pretty much just like. I don't know.
Give me the ball. That's basically Welsh.
Scooper. Yeah.
Oh god.
But the rumors are out that.
So there we go. We started with Jesus. Now we're going to add Geordies and Welshmen to the list.
Geordie
people that
Jesus.
We've already offended.
Geordie Jesus, all hail. So the rumors of Messi possibly going to Man City.
No chance. He's not going to leave Barcelona. He's basically a permanent fixture now.
Yeah.
And he's getting paid so much money. It's like, why would I want to? He doesn't want to go to the Premier League. I'm convinced. We will never see him in the Premier League ever.
I think the only place I'd see him is possibly going to Serie A, if anything, because that's where people usually go to after they go to La Liga, like Ronaldo, for example. But you never know. Those are usually the ones with the highest budget. Just tying it back to
the Champions League final, I think of all the clubs he might go to, it'd probably be PSG with Neymar. PSG. They're not one of my favourite clubs in the world. I don't know. I just don't like Neymar. I think he's just a bad example to the game, really.
Yeah.
Just in terms of his sportsmanship, really. Regardless of what he does off the field, it's a bit like my thing with Mesut Ozil. He's a humanitarian. He's a philanthropist. Works with lots of charities, but I just cannot stand him on the field.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know much about PSG's history. I know that they were involved in racism back in the day, weren't they? There was like alleged racism within the club, like not playing black players and things like that. And I don't want to get I don't want to get too political into it, but
no.
But in terms of like
they're a club with French football in general has had a history with kind of corruption problems, and Marseille got relegated in 1993 they won the title in 1992, I think, and then they got relegated the following year because of dodgy dealings and match fixing and things like that. So there has been a murky history with French football.
Yeah, but I think as well, like that in terms of that, there needs to be more tighter regulations on it. Like, Man City, the whole financial fair play, and they are able to appeal it, and how they were able to get away with that in the first place, I don't know. But
It's like what kind of an example does that set to the other teams in the Premier League,
and
or the
it's
other teams that are due to Newcastle, for example?
yeah,
With this proposed supposed takeover by another one of these oil-rich Arab oligarchs.
but it goes
What kind of an example does this set to Newcastle? Where it's, all right, well, we've got all the money in the world, we can just break as many rules as we want, get away with it.
It didn't work for Bournemouth, to be honest. So why would it work for Man City? The only way it would work for Man City is having enough left over to put people on the bench. But in terms of like having the appropriate side for your team, there needs to be plenty of talks and tactics going on, because some player could be good for one club, but then for one club they could be shocking, or vice versa. So you never know. Big example of that is Alexis Sanchez.
It just makes me laugh every time that name is mentioned. Is that the worst swap deal in the history of football? Us signing Henrik Mkhitaryan from Man United and Alexis Sanchez going the other way, and both parties remain unsatisfied to this day. I've never known that happen. Usually with a swap deal, at least one club it gets something out of it. But Henrik Mkhitaryan is probably going to leave us this summer, having had a decent debut. I think I was there for his debut at the Emirates, and he looked half decent, but then just off a cliff. I think you could attribute a lot of that to Emery and his tactical decisions, but at the end of the day, he's just a shadow of the player he once was. And then Alexis Sanchez, hearing Man United fans say he is one of the worst signings Manchester United have ever made, just fills my heart with joy. He was a great player for us, Alexis Sanchez, but I can't explain what happened. He just stopped giving a toss.
I don't know.
Anyway, should we move on to news topic 3?
Hang on. I was just going to. Sorry, can I just stay on this? I was just going to say. So, would you be rooting for Bayern Munich in the finals?
Oh, absolutely. I think they're a fantastic side. I think they've played great, tremendous attacking football. I like Robert Lewandowski, Manuel Neuer, Philipp Lahm. They have all these abundance of quality. I just like German football in general.
I absolutely love Thomas Muller, and I love Kingsley Coman as well. Like, they've done so many wonders. Like, the entire team have just done so many wonders, and they're saying like Robert Lewandowski is a good contender of like one of the best players currently in active football at the moment. Like, he is really high up there. But then again, people say the same for Mbappe as well. I think Mbappe's kind of struggle is like with Neymar. He's an excellent dribbler, but his performance in the quarterfinal with those Titanic shots, I'll call them, I'm glad he fixed it up a bit in the semi-finals. But if PSG want to stand a chance against a team like that, they are really going to have to step up, because this is no RB Leipzig. This is Bayern Munich when they have smashed Barcelona 8-2 and smashed Tottenham 7-2, beat Chelsea, was it 4-1 Chelsea?
Something like that. I so much of the early season I can't remember because, of this whole break in football and everything at the beginning of the year. But I believe they've just had an easy go of it, Bayern. But you mentioned, you mentioned Kylian Mbappe. As much as I have a slight disdain for Neymar and his footballing ethic and attitude, I love Kylian Mbappe. I think he's a fantastic player. I just remember him setting Argentina alight during the last World Cup.
Yeah, like that just French side in general was just absolutely brilliant. From top to bottom, including Griezmann, who hasn't been great for Barcelona this season. He hasn't been the best, but for what he was worth. But he's still a standout player in his own right.
So, are you rooting for Bayern as well then?
Possibly, I think. I know. The other day I said if I was to support a side in Bundesliga, I said Dortmund, but Bayern have a special place in my heart as well. So, yeah, I think I'd go for Bayern. Katie, for some reason, likes PSG. I have no idea why. I think we were playing FIFA one time, and she just picked Paris, and she was like, "My boys." I was like,
she She was trying to give you a hint of where to go for your next date or your anniversary.
Well, she texted me last night.
Paris.
She texted me last night and she said she wanted to move to Brighton. So.
Oh my word! Move to Brighton with Tony Monopoly.
I was just going to say probably his first thing we'll do is visit his grave.
Oh dear. It should be a good match tonight. I mean, we'll soon find out if this is the beginning of the curse of the Key Yard podcast when it comes to footballers.
Yeah.
And Kylian Mbappe and Robert Lewandowski both have absolute stinkers, and Neymar gets the winner.
Oh, by all means.